in the offices of Gumtree Automotive, and I'm joined by Jeff Osborne, the CEO of Gumtree Automotive. Jeff, lovely seeing you.
Great, Alan.
Thanks, Jeff. And the Gumtree Used Car Awards.
Yes.
Second year this year.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go bigger and better this year.
Well, look, you started off with quite a bang last year.
Sure.
And the concept's brilliant. I really do think that, I must be honest. And second year, as you say, you're going much bigger, much better this time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about better because it was good. So, good start. You've got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, I think better in the sense that last year we tested the water. So we had it down in Cape Town and we had it at the same time as the World Rallycross.
Right.
So, and that kind of made sense then. But we wanted to test the water and it was, as you say, it was a resounding success. So this year we want to bring it to the central economic hub of South Africa, Johannesburg, where all most of the consumers are and the motor industry is up here. So it kind of made sense to move it. But the idea behind it, Alan, was to create something that would be relevant to the consumer.
Yeah.
You know, dare I say it, we've got the new car awards process.
Right.
And again, a Porsche one. I'm just not too sure how many consumers out there buy Porsches.
Well, can I just tell you one thing, and I've got to put it in very quickly.
Yeah.
I've very recently tested the Panamera.
Yes, yes.
And honestly, 10 minutes after getting behind the wheel of that car, my comment was, I get why it won.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
It is amazing.
Yeah,
but as you say, they're selling, although it's the biggest seller in this category, you know that.
Yes. No, I'm sure. Yeah. No, I have no doubt. I remember Jeremy Clarkson saying it was one of the finest cars he'd ever driven.
Yeah.
Not the prettiest to him, but no, I have no doubt. But our thinking was, let's do something, because it's all about, we're not just in the game of listing vehicles on a classified portal.
Right.
It's also about, because we're facilitating the sale basically between buyer and seller.
Yeah.
And it behoves us to do everything to facilitate that process, to provide information. And we know that the modern consumer today, and everything's been driven by the consumer, they're looking for information. All their research, or a lot of their research, 90% in any event, is done online before they walk into dealership to make a purchase. So
well, I think I've seen some stats. The number of, for example, dealership visits compared to 10, 15 years ago is...
Correct.
Yeah, it used to be 10, it's now 2, that kind of ratio.
Down to 1, or I saw someone the other day, 1.4. I don't know where the 0.4 comes from. Maybe that's where they walk in and no one gets up from their desk.
The original tyre kicker.
And they walk out, yeah. But, so, it struck us that it behoves us to provide as much information as possible. And this is one sure way of doing it. So from last year's process, obviously all those vehicles that we tested, and as you know, it was then it was 10 categories, 5 finalists per category. We've put all that information on our website. Right. So we're running a series of TV ads recently saying to the consumer, by way of example, you want to buy a good used pre-owned SUV? We've tested so many for you.
Yeah.
So then go into our site, read about it, and get some sense of what is available. It's information.
Okay, and this year you've gone up to 11 categories, 5 finalists per category.
Correct.
But just before we go there, and I hope I'm getting my stats right, you've specifically honed in on 2-year-old cars.
Correct.
Because sales in South Africa, now new and used, 40% of all sales are 2-year-old used cars. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's actually in a price band. So it's the sweet spot's kind of 200 to 400,000 rand.
Right.
And we pick it up from our site.
Yeah.
That's where the majority of the listings are.
Okay.
And that's where, and when speaking to the banks, if you look at what they're financing, that is the band.
So you've narrowed it into that band, if I may term it, but also it shows the importance of that band. That's where I'm saying, and the significance of it in our market.
Yeah.
So you've honed in on specifically 2-year-old.
Yes. Last year we went up to 3, but we said let's rather make it 2-year-old because we become very dealer focused since we became a dedicated auto portal within the market. So it's all a matter of doing what aligns with the typical dealer stock. And that's where, if you look at and we've got all the big groups and all the franchise guys, a lot of private ones as well, of course, and smaller traders. But that is kind of the sweet spot for certainly the trade in that price range.
Yeah. So you've done that, you've narrowed down, and what's also very interesting is how you've set your criteria to get to those 5 finalists.
Yes.
And it's essentially based on retained value
Absolutely.
At 2 years, am I correct? So
that's the number one. So you're quite right. We were taking 55 vehicles in each category.
Right.
And narrowing it down to 5 based on the retention of value.
Right.
Yeah.
And I must be honest that some of the semi-finalists are public, and can I throw in now that, and thank you to you, I'm one of the judges on the panel this year.
Indeed, we're honoured to have you there.
Thank you. Because you have got an established group of motoring journalists who are your judging panel.
Absolutely.
And so I'm seeing the semi-finalists starting to flow now.
Yes.
I must be honest, a couple of surprises.
Yep.
A couple of, I shouldn't say this maybe, but some of the cars that I wouldn't consider,
yes,
but are there, and it's interesting that they're retaining the value, which shows where the market's at.
That's right. The bottom line doesn't matter what you and I think.
Right.
It's been driven by the consumer, yeah.
Very much so. So now the semi-finalists, we've got, of course, Charles Wilkin, who I think most people in the industry know, who's testing the cars, and then we're getting the info fed through, and there'll be a voting process out of those last 5.
Absolutely. And we're hoping that it becomes an annual, it will certainly be in for the long haul. So it needs to be an annual event that is of relevance to buyers and sellers.
That's the thing. And, you know, as you said just now, you've become a portal for information, not just for adverts.
Just for absolutely. It's more than that.
You've moved a big step across.
Correct.
And informed, because of technology today, because of the internet, 90% of your buyers are so much more informed than they used to be.
Sure.
And you another source for them, and a one-stop source, which is great.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, absolutely. For example, they can determine on our site what a fair price is for their particular car, even by mileage and colour and the whole. It's quite incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's a case of putting it together.
Yeah.
And in a sensible, logical way.
Yeah.
Now, just into the awards. So, of course, towards the end of the year, there's going to be the awards, the actual awards. You name 11 winners.
Yes.
In their categories.
Right.
Have you thought of going to one overall used car of the year, or as an overall winner?
I think it's difficult to do that, Alan, because it's different categories. So it's a winner per category.
Right.
And I think the categories are so distinct that it does kind of make sense to stick to those.
Because you've of course got in the new cars, you've got the one, and I'm not going to mention, but you've got the one car of the year, and then you've got the other one that does the categories like you are on new cars. Yeah. And very interesting both ways.
Yes.
And I've kind of keep thinking myself, imagine merging the two concepts together, having category winners, but then having an overall champion.
Yes, that's a thought.
Would it take anything away from it?
That's a thought. It's certainly something we're thinking about,
that there's sort of the crown on top.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, believe me, a category winner is still a massive achievement.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But, Jeff, I think personally, it's a wonderful road you're going down here and growing. And I mean, this year is going to be much bigger. I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger by the year.
Sure.
And that's important. Consumers are already, I know, and going to keep looking at this and saying, you know what, this is where I need to go. This is the advice I need.
Right.
I'm looking for my next car.
Absolutely.
Let me check this out.
You've summarised it so well. That's exactly what our intention is, Alan. We want it to be there, as I say, sustainable, and to become an event that is sought after and provides real information and real value to both buyers and sellers.
Fantastic. Jeff, thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thanks for your involvement. Thanks for your involvement. Yeah.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. From the Gumtree Used Car Awards, there'll be more coming up soon.